Yeah, so we're back, people. And before we get started, I gotta say a quick thank you to you guys who have been supporting the channel each and every day. We're only 25 people away from 200 subs. It's a huge deal, and I appreciate everybody. It might seem small to some people, but to me, it's a big deal. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you want to be in that 25 that's on the road to 200. And let's get straight into it.
Hey, listen!
Yeah, so today I want to talk about Princess Vivi. Of course, after the release of chapter 1074, Princess Vivi definitely provided us with a huge twist at the end. Now that we know that she is okay and safe, of course, we kind of already assumed that, but she's on top of the World Economic News ship with Big News Morgans and Wapple. Now that we know she's alive, us as fans have no choice but to ask the question, what does she do now? Does she regroup with the Straw Hats? Does she lead a revolution? Like, what is Vivi's plan? But before we get into that, you might be asking, well, why is Vivi so important to the story? Especially if you're a One Piece fan, and that's what we're here to talk about. So if you've been a part of the community for even a little bit of time, you might have noticed that Princess Vivi holds a special place in the hearts of the One Piece fans. Even though she hasn't been a part of the active Straw Hat crew for well over maybe 20 years now, she still holds a place in our hearts because of where we've come from. Let's not forget the little girl that had infiltrated Baroque Works as Miss Wednesday, that was introduced during Reverse Mountain, eventually went on to be reintroduced to us as Princess Vivi Nefertari, Princess of the Alabasta Kingdom. Is it Alabasta or Arabasta? I honestly can't remember right now because a lot of us grew up watching the 4Kids version of this. So, yo, 4Kids, like, you've really screwed us up. But anyways, the Arabasta arc was pivotal in shaping the One Piece series very early on, right? We had Luffy take on one of the 7 warlords, which up until that point, we had only been introduced to Mihawk, I think. And Mihawk is kind of top dog and always has been. So we assumed that the 7 warlords, there was a huge power gap between the Straw Hats and the 7 warlords at this point. And for the most part, that was true. But it's in Arabasta that Luffy would overcome this obstacle and go above 100 million berry bounty. And this is because Princess Vivi trusted in Luffy. Princess Vivi trusted in the Straw Hats to bring her back to her home and help her with the Civil War conflict that Arabasta was going through at the time. Not only that, but we also got the introduction of Nico Robin in the same arc. We got information on the ancient weapons like the Pluton in this arc, and we also even got our first glimpses of Zoan devil fruits in Pell, which I know a lot of people hate on Pell, but I'm just saying, yo, bring him into the new world, give that man some armament hockey, and yo, we have a formidable fighter on the hands. So Oda, if you're listening, the will of Pell is alive, baby. But I say all this because all of these factors were for Vivi. Luffy fought for Vivi. The kingdom, both royals and rebels, would fight for Vivi. So she is very important, and I would say pivotal to the story. Let's not forget, she was the heir, and now it seems to be the queen of the Alabasta Kingdom. And this is widely important because the Nefertari family were one of the original 20 families that were celestial dragons. They just didn't abandon Alabasta and move to marry Joa like the rest of the celestial dragons. They rather stayed in Alabasta and lived amongst the people, which, if you're familiar with the celestial dragons up until this point, that is a big no-no. So it definitely makes the Nefertari family a huge outlier in this community, and that's just one of the things that makes Vivi special. I mean, let's be honest, she's essentially a Straw Hat member. I know it says honorary, but she sailed with them longer than most people, so she's definitely a Straw Hat. She pops up on the ship, they probably already got a room for her. And without getting way too much into it, I highly advise, if you're unfamiliar with Vivi, go read/watch the Alabasta arc, and if not, at the very least, watch episode of Alabasta. Super important. But we're gonna go ahead and get into why Vivi is important now. And ever since the introduction of the Reverie arc, Oda has been bringing royal characters that don't align with the world government into the spotlight. Characters like Shirahoshi, Rebecca, King Riku, King Neptune were brought to the Reverie, and they were basically given the center stage. Everything was focused on them. Of course, we know by the end, the Straw Hats can fight, the revolutionaries can free the people, but the new world will be ruled by these good monarchs and not the corrupt 20 kings that were in place before. Well, it's really like 170 kingdoms now, but you get what I'm saying. But to continue, like I said before, post the Reverie, now that Cobra is presumably dead, Vivi is now the queen of Alabasta, which means she's the queen of a kingdom that has ties not only to the 20 kingdoms, but that has ties to the ancient kingdom as well. Add that to the fact that she was essentially a pirate for a little while, working for Baroque Works and the Straw Hats. That makes her an outlier even amongst the other monarchs in this group, Shirahoshi and Rebecca, respectively. Oh yeah, and one more thing, Imu wants her dead. That's super clear, and we don't know the reason why, but it's kind of obvious. I mean, she represents one of the earliest enemies of the Celestial Dragons, and it's possible that the Nefertari fam definitely left the other 19 kingdoms because they had some sort of different ideals, right? They rebelled against the ancient kingdom, overthrew them, but maybe the Nefertari family weren't willing to take it as far as they did. They weren't willing to become these grotesque evil world nobles that they turned into, and who knows, they might have even had some cooperation with the ancient kingdom. But Brooke mentions that in 800 years there's never been a misrule of the Alabasta kingdom by the Nefertari family. That means they're good rulers, their subjects love them, unlike the rest of the 20 kingdoms. And just to theorize a little bit, if the Nefertari family is loved this much amongst the 20 kingdoms, it's quite possible that the Nefertari family sat at the top of those 20 kingdoms, meaning they were the leaders of what was about to be the world government. They might have sat on the world throne, but instead of ruling over the world, they probably wanted to split up the power and rule equally, perpetuate peace, and understand the people. And while this isn't completely unique to a celestial dragon, I mean, Don Quixote Homing did the same thing,
You know, before he was murdered by his evil son.
but Mulesguard is going through the same metamorphosis right now as a celestial dragon. So being a celestial dragon doesn't automatically make you evil, but when you are a nice celestial dragon, it definitely makes you an anomaly, which is different from all the rest of the celestial dragons, which are kind of assholes, right? But before I get carried away with that, I just want to say that if this is true, then that means Vivi isn't just the heir to the Alabasta Kingdom throne, but she's the heir to the world throne, the throne that Imu sits on. And that could be the reason why Imu had a knife going through her face during the Reverie arc. So now what does Vivi plan to do with all this information? And well, now that she's the head of one of the most powerful kingdoms in the One Piece world, she has a royal army who love her, as shown in the Alabasta arc. It's clear that she will be a symbol of rebellion in the future, and she will expose the true history of the world to the people. And this is super important considering up until this point, the people still believe that the world government is awesome, right? The people think that the Marines are the good guys, the pirates are the bad guys, and the evil ancient kingdom, if you know anything about it at all, were a bunch of evil, superpowered, lying, fire-wielding, giant-loving, samurai understanding, three-eyed people. But none of that is true. Well, actually, all of that is true, but none of that is a bad thing, and Vivi will be the one to expose the truth. Also, now that she's alive and she has information of her father's death, she can clear Sabo's name. Sabo was the one that was inevitably blamed for killing King Cobra, Vivi's father, but we know this isn't true. Vivi will be the one to correct that. Maybe with the help of Wapol, we'll have to wait and see. She also has the backing of the Straw Hats and one of the Yonko in Straw Hat Luffy. To the reader, obviously she's just one of us, but in the world government's eyes, she's a monarch that aligns with a Yonko. This is a huge deal. We haven't seen this since, well, Odin and Whitebeard, right? And maybe even Odin and Roger. I don't really know if we ever considered Roger a Yonko. Maybe we did back in the day, but the point that I'm trying to make is that when monarchs join forces with Yonko level characters, they can accomplish great things. And of course, Alabasta being a country that has seen civil war and is used to war, I wouldn't be surprised if the first order of business is to stop paying the heavenly tribute to the world nobles and organize the Dressrosa and Ryukyu kingdoms to back up the Straw Hat Grand Fleet for the final battle. This, of course, being led by Princess Vivi herself, which, okay, she's not super strong, but she's a fighter and she will definitely be out on the front lines. I say all this because Vivi will essentially be the Princess Leia of One Piece. Cue Princess Leia music. She'll be a symbol of peace for the kingdoms of the world to get behind. The true heir to the world throne. And even though she won't accept that throne because she's way too modest for that, she can finish what her ancestors started, distribute the wealth and power, peace and prosperity throughout the kingdoms of the world, and play a pivotal role in ushering in the new age of the Pirate King Straw Hat Luffy. Oh, and they're gonna have a huge freaking party when this is over, just like Luffy always wanted. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Yo, the comments have been going crazy, so let me know what you guys think about Princess Vivi's role going forward. What do you think her plan is? Why do you think Oda still has her around? Let me know down below. Drop a like on this video if you liked it. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. And of course, I appreciate everybody that subs to this channel. We are 25 subs away from our first 200 subscribers. Super exciting, so make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell because we're dropping fire videos on here every single week. This has been your boy, your homie, your brother from another mother, SifuThatGuy speaking. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.